It occurs to me, oh hi, I'm Zane by the way. It occurs to me that I need to tell you guys what we're using the money for this. You know, we're publishing a series of role-playing books under this new role-playing game system. We're going to be publishing, with this Indiegogo campaign, 2 books specifically. We're not going to use the money for any future books. That's not really allowed by the terms of agreement for any of the crowdfunding websites, and it would be really shady to do anyway. We're going to be publishing the core rulebook, which explains how to play the game, very generally. You guys may not see it in these videos. I'm not really in a funny mood today, but I wrote the core rulebook myself. A lot of the mechanics go through my friend and co-creator Trevor, but as far as the actual writing goes, I'm the one writing the core rulebook. It's got a very dry sense of humor, sometimes derisive, sometimes self-deprecating, and a lot of times very dry wit about certain things, and a lot of callbacks to old sci-fi. You know, we're fans of sci-fi, otherwise we wouldn't be creating a game in the sci-fi genre. So there are things like Grimwald Syndrome, which the Fourth Doctor described. If you go check out that video, I definitely suggest watching Doctor Who if you haven't seen it already. Can't imagine anybody who hasn't, but again, if you're here watching this video and you haven't seen Doctor Who, go see Doctor Who. But, okay, so we're publishing the core rulebook, which tells you how to play the game. Like I said, I tried to make it fun to read. I wanted it to be fun to write, so, you know, because otherwise I'm not going to write it. So hopefully it's fun to read as well. And the mission module. So the core rulebook goes through how to create a character, how to do things like combat and skill checks and that sort of thing, basic gameplay, how to purchase items, that sort of thing. Everything a normal core rulebook, the player's handbook from D&D, you know, 3.5 and back, the core rulebook from Pathfinder, the core rulebook from Fate, all of the things that those core rulebooks would go through, this core rulebook goes through. And at the back of the core rulebook, we're going to have stock characters. You'll see in the reward system that you can purchase the ability to make your own stock character. You know, once I see who's done that, I'll give them you'll give me your contact information actually. I'll reach out to you, we'll get that character creation process going, and you know, there will be a deadline because we are trying to publish, but we'll get that made and together, and we'll come out with a character that you really like. We'll put it in the core rulebook for anybody to be able to play. And of course there's stock characters being made by the creative staff here at Edge of Heaven. And the other thing that's going to be at the end of that core rulebook is a skirmish. We're going to be playtesting that skirmish at some point in the next couple weeks. Trying to get a better camera. Your money's not going towards that, but we are trying to get a better camera and a cameraman to come in and film the playtest and interviews with the players. Sort of like tabletop. I mentioned Will Wheaton in an earlier video. He's a huge inspiration, and he should be to anybody. He's a really cool guy from everything I've seen. I hope he's like that in real life. I sincerely hope I have the pleasure of finding out in real life at some point, but that's irrelevant to this video. So at the end of the core rulebook, we're going to have stock characters and we're going to have a skirmish. Now what a skirmish is it is basically a combat scenario. I think I mentioned this in another video. You're given certain specifics on how to build your character, what rules your character has to abide by during character creation, and you're given a scenario. Sometimes it's a search and rescue. This one's going to be a search and rescue. Sometimes it's a heist. Sometimes it's a kill all the baddies. You know, Halo would call it a slayer. I'm at a loss for words at the moment. But, you know, different kind of game types. In this particular game type, it's going to be a search and rescue. You go in, you have to get the hostages out, as many as possible. And then we're going to have the mission module. Now the mission module is an actual story. And it is a book that, you know, doesn't have real guidelines for creating a character other than this is the level you have to create at, and of course at that level you have a certain amount of wealth depending on your affiliations and training and whatnot. So the mission module is going to revolve around a bank heist. I'm also writing that. I've got a lot of writing going on myself these days. I'm writing both of the books. I'm writing the skirmish. In the future, I hope to be able to hire other writers to help me out that can match my tone, match my sort of dry wit, and have fun writing it. But we'll see what happens in the future. Right now, we're focusing on these two books. So the budget that we have for this campaign, the money that's from this campaign is going to two major things. One, it is covering the art costs. Our art budget is including 34 different character pieces. It's including 2 cover pieces for each of the books. You know, one front and back cover for one book, one front and back cover for the next book. It's covering creating and designing all of the items and armor, creating and designing all of the races. Emily Ann is an amazing artist. She's done a great job on these concepts, and I'm looking forward to working with her further in this project. And you know, she deserves this money for the kind of work she does and the time frame that she does it. To give you guys an understanding, we went back and forth on the Celestia. So far, that's been the one that has had the most work needed because we had to go in a drastically different direction from our original concept. We didn't like the concept that was done by an earlier artist. She's a great artist. I'm not going to mention her by name. She is a great artist. We just didn't like the direction that we went with it, and we had to change a lot. We went back and forth for a week. That's it. 1 week to get the Celestia to the point where you see them. Now, there are some few minor changes that need to be made still. Most of those revolve around a disagreement between myself and my co-creator and trying to find a happy medium for us to both have our vision of what the Celestia should look like. But Emily Ann churned out those Celestia with their beautiful tattoos, their beautiful avian structure in a week, with us constantly changing direction during. She deserves that money. And I kind of want to pay her more. But that's a contracting thing. Anyway, so the largest amount of the money is going towards paying Emily Ann and possibly one other artist. But I will make sure the quality of that art is on par with Emily Ann's and that they get together stylistically, that they can mesh and be cohesive. The rest of it is going toward incidentals in publishing, purchasing ISBNs, publishing the books, that sort of thing. Getting the actual books printed and sent out to people who want a hard copy, to stores, that sort of thing. That's what the rest of that money is going toward, is the publishing aspect of getting these books out. So that's where your money is going. And the reward system, we're going to do another video of that probably tomorrow. We're going to shoot that video. I'll be wearing a different shirt. I'll be shooting it with my co-creator. And we'll have a little sit-down talk about it. But thank you. Have a nice day. I'm going to shoot the next video about races now.